Actually, I think we have everyone present pretty much, what I can tell. Um, so we'd like to call this meeting to order, and our first order of business is the approval of the minutes from the October 21st meeting. And we'd like to welcome everyone who's come uh, to attend the meeting tonight.
I move to approve the minutes as submitted.
I'll second it.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to accept the minutes from the October 21st minutes as they've been published. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Nay. Looks like we've got approval of our minutes. Thank you. We now will move to item C on our agenda. It does require a public hearing, but we'll first hear staff report, and then we'll open for public.
Sure,
comment.
Mr. Chair, before we start, this is Bryce Armstrong, staff. Usually we do other business at the end of the meeting, but I just wanted to take a moment to recognize one of our outgoing planning commissioners who I understand may have to leave early tonight. And so we wanted to catch her while she's still here. Karen Ellingson has recently won an election that will have her serving on the Springville City Council. And so I hope that's all right for me to share that.
Yeah.
And so unfortunately, we're going to lose her on our planning commission. So we just wanted to recognize her. She's been with us for several years and been a great asset to planning in Utah County, and Springville's in good hands. We have a really small token of our appreciation, a little pen from Utah County that we'll give her, but
It's an upgrade.
yeah, it's a little bit better. It's better than a bit, but not much. So, but we sure appreciate her service.
It's awesome. You were the chair for a while, right? Because when I first came in, you were. It's awesome.
Oh, thank you.
We will miss you, Karen.
Thanks. Miss serving with all of you. It's been great.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yes, congratulations. That's cool.
Thanks.
Okay, I guess we'll move to our first agenda item. I'll kind of introduce that, and then I'll turn it over to a presentation. So several years ago, the Utah State Legislature approved a bill that requires certain counties and cities to adopt what's called a water use and preservation element as part of their general plan. Utah County was one of the counties that needed to prepare that. This plan was to address a number of items, and we'll get into that, but some of those include the effect of permitted development or patterns of development on water and demand, and water infrastructure, methods of reducing water demand and consumption for existing and future development, opportunities for the county to modify the county's operations to eliminate practices or conditions that waste water, consult with public drinking water systems to consider effects on water supply planning, drinking water sources, storage capacity, distribution planning, master plans, and other items. As all of you are aware, the county is a little bit different animal than cities, especially as it relates to municipal type of water systems. So our plan is going to look a little different than a city's plan, but nonetheless, there were certain elements that needed to be met. So to that end, the county was able to receive some funding from the state to help us in that preparation, and we've contracted with a consultant, Hanson Ellen Luce, to help us with that preparation. And so I'm just going to turn it over to their representatives to introduce kind of a brief summary of the process and the plan. So.
Thank you. Good evening, Commissioners. It's a pleasure for us to be here to present this water use element plan that Henson Allen Luce has been helping you with. We are fortunate enough we do a fair amount of work with Utah County Public Works in helping you with your water rights and water assets. And so this was a natural segue for us to help with this water use element plan. My name's Delmas Johnson. And this is Katie Jacobson, and I'm just going to really key up for Katie here. She's going to give you the nuts and bolts. But as was suggested, the legislature over the last 5 years or so has really become water focused. And that was happening anyway, but the Great Salt Lake really put a hyper emphasis on that. And so it became obvious that some needs needed to be addressed. And one of the bills, obviously, that came out of that effort was to create a water awareness in land use planning, which really has not been completely comprehensive across all levels of government. And so that's why this bill was passed, is to create that water awareness. And so when land use planning is done, there needs to be consideration for water because, as we all know, land without water is not very valuable. And so that's why this is on the books. That's why this effort's underway. And so this creates an opportunity for the county and their planning to really consider the limitations of water resource availability and how that impacts land use planning. So I'm going to turn it over to Katie, and she's going to give you a review of what this plan's all about.
Okay, thanks, Delmas. Like Delmas said, the foundation for the plan was to integrate water and land planning together. When the code actually came out saying what was required, it was kind of a hodgepodge of items. So there will be a few items that we go through tonight. We'll have some water resources related items, agriculture, drinking water, and then stakeholder coordination. So on the water resources, we looked at the effect of permitted development on the water demand and infrastructure. We focused in on the public community water systems in the unincorporated areas. So these are not your city systems, it's the smaller unincorporated systems. We looked at how much they were using in water, and we'll go into some of these things. We looked at the effect on the Jordan River watershed, and specifically that's related to how that flows into the Great Salt Lake. The state wanted that included, and the regional conservation goals. So this here would represent an idea of a water budget for the entire county. Hanson, Allen, and Luce helped with two studies. The first was for Mount Nebo Water Agency. That one was completed in 2019. That covers more of southern Utah County. And then there was a 2025 study for the Northern Utah County Aquifer Council for their managed aquifer project. That covers more of Northern Utah County. So these two studies together cover most of the water uses in the county. So on the top of the graph here, you can see we have the top bar in blue is our existing reliable water supply, and the bottom bar in that green is the demand. And so you can see demand is less than supply. We're doing well in that regard. There's enough water right now. Projecting out into the future, you can see our demands come just under the reliable water supply. So again, it looks like there's enough. The nuance there is that a lot of the current water supply is surface water. It's untreated for agriculture or for outdoor watering. And the demands that are coming in the future will be more of indoor demands that will require treated water. So the volume of water is sufficient, but we don't have enough treated or drinking water. We'll need more of that going on into the future. Next is the regional conservation goals. So when we looked at the public community water systems in the unincorporated areas, on average, they had reported usage of about 374 gallons per day per capita. And the goals that were set by the state for the Provo River area is 179 gallons per day per capita by 2030 and 162 by 2040. And the county is not a water provider, so you don't have a lot of direct influence over this. But if the county does want to support these conservation goals, we have a list of suggestions to look into. So this element does not commit you to doing any. It says these are things that you'll look into, and we've listed some of these there. The next section in the report is agriculture. So it was very important to the state to look at how agriculture is being preserved. And the message we got from the state folks at the Department of Agriculture was that Utah County is doing very well with your preservation of agriculture. I saw on your agenda you have some items tonight to look at in that regard. So one of the items was to identify those areas, to evaluate efficient irrigation practices, and to see if irrigation companies are being protected as development comes close to them. This is a figure of 3 different types of agricultural protection areas you have in the county. So again, the message from the state is that the county is doing well, but it's always something to continue to recommend and see if we can protect even more, if that's what the county desires to do. This slide illustrates the difference in the unincorporated. Again, this is just your very small water systems. We'll look at a map of those in a second. But those unincorporated water systems are reporting about 1,000 acre-feet per year, while agricultural use in the county is over 200,000. It's just to illustrate the difference right now. That in the unincorporated county, there's very little municipal use compared to the agricultural. This is a map of the canals and irrigation companies in the county. So as your community development department is reviewing developments, they look at this map, they make sure that the applicant is properly protecting irrigation delivery systems and working with the irrigation companies to make sure we protect those. Onto our drinking water section of the plan, we were required to evaluate the source and storage capacity for all the drinking water systems in the entire county. So that includes all your municipalities and cities in addition to those small systems, and look at strategies for water supply diversification. So on diversification, a lot of your drinking water right now comes from wells and springs, and some is purchased from Central Utah Water Conservancy District. And so diversification is just continue to expanding those opportunities that water systems can have different options. That if their springs aren't doing well one year, maybe they can purchase from Central Utah, something like that. And this is a map of all of those community public water systems. So in green, the majority of the area is your incorporated systems. And then in orange is our unincorporated systems that were really more of the focus of this element, because each of those cities that's over a certain size is required to do their own water element separately. And then finally, coordination was part of the requirements from the state. And so we have reached out to all of the public water systems, the community water systems in the unincorporated areas, and invited them to review the plan. We've invited them to this meeting to make comment if they desire, and we'll have comments open for about 2 weeks where they can submit written comments. And we'll evaluate those with your community development department and see if we need to make revisions to the plan. The county has also, the community development department has also reached out to some of your large agricultural producers to ask them to review the plan, and to the canal and irrigation companies. So for any in the audience that would like to make written comments, I'm taking those through email. My email address is up here. It's Katie, Katie, at HAL Engineers, HAL Engineers.com. Thanks.
Question?
Mhm.
So you said that it will be open for public comment. Is it, are you suggesting that there'd be public comment before we vote tonight, or is it before the Utah County Commission votes
So
on
it's,
this?
it has been available for public comment prior to this. There will be a required public hearing tonight,
Mm-hmm.
and there will be opportunity to provide comments after tonight, prior to the county commission's
Prior.
final approval.
Okay. Any other questions?
I just have one question based on the comment that you made about the surface water and agricultural uses versus anticipated future uses.
Mhm.
So if I understood what you were saying, right, are you saying that right now a lot of the water that is used for agriculture is rainfall that just comes and it's not part of the system already, or are you talking about untreated gray water?
It's rainfall. So Strawberry Reservoir into the Spanish Fork River system, that is a huge part of your county's usage. And then similar things, up in the northern part of the county. But yeah, so basically rainfall into reservoirs and canals, but not treated or wastewater, gray water.
Okay.
Yeah.
So with that anticipated future demand on the water system, um, what is our replacement rate versus demand rate?
As
Are
far-
we using faster than the rainwater is able to either get into the reservoirs or go down into the system and permeate into the wells?
That I guess everything in the watershed is connected, but there's not really a direct connection between what goes into Strawberry Reservoir or other reservoirs and then what makes it down into wells in the valley. And so wells in the valley are keeping up right now. Um, and Delmas, I don't know if you're aware of any aquifer studies that have evaluated that county-wide. I guess the new CAC was based on a little bit of that. But I think the takeaway there is that you'll need more treated surface water. So Central Utah Water Conservancy District is looking at treating water and then providing that to municipalities. And so they are already getting started on that kind of a system for South Utah County.
Okay.
Yeah, both agencies that Katie referred to, both Mount Nebo and the Northern Utah County Aquifer Council, are aware of the finite groundwater supply,
Mm-hmm.
and it's not unlimited, which I think 30, 40 years ago, we presumed it was. And so now we have to kind of work within what is a safe yield and be aware and monitor what the pumping levels and static levels are in our wells, because many of them are declining. And so we need to, and so the plan was meant to help you be aware of that and to plan accordingly. And just know that if surface water is not available, groundwater is not the default. Okay, because it's not always going to be available. So right now there's efforts underway to bring that more into balance. If that addresses your question.
Mm-hmm.
So I have a question, and maybe this is more directed towards staff, but so this study, you've been consulting with Hanson Lewis for a while. Um, were any of the water users notified about this study prior to this meeting? And if not, what was there only notification just about the standard Utah County Planning Commission meeting? So, I you know, what's
So we had to get comments back from the state on this, and our timeline was crunched quite significantly. So we did notify them on Friday. So just last Friday, the 14th, we emailed the email address on record for all of the unincorporated water systems that went out to them on Friday to let them know about this meeting here tonight. And it has been on the agenda, as you mentioned.
And was that just culinary water users, or did that include irrigation water users as well?
I think your office sent it out to irrigation companies.
We did.
I sent it to the water.
Yeah, so we
yeah.
also sent notices to the canal and irrigation companies, and also some of our ag users in the county as well.
And when did those go
And
out?
all cities in the county.
They went out the same day.
On Friday?
The letters to the cities went out 10 days prior to this meeting.
Just for your information, I shared this with, excuse me, with our general manager of the Strawberry Water Users Association. Had him, he's pretty darn sharp, Sterling Brown. I had him take a look at this. I'd read it and I asked him to. And as far as agriculture goes, we have no issue with it. It's not a problem. In fact, the comment was it was in his opinion and mine, it was very well written and it looks good.
Any further questions? And again, just to follow up on the comment, there will be opportunities to provide additional comments after the meeting. We'll accept those and incorporate those as applicable in a recommendation to the county commission.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we are, on this item, we do need to open a public hearing, right?
Yes, it does require a public hearing.
We ready to open a public hearing?
I move
So
that we
moved.
open the public hearing.
I'll second.
You got there first.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to open the public hearing. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, we're now in a public hearing. In past planning commission meetings, we had a sign-up sheet in the back for those that wanted to speak, but we've moved it up here to the podium. So those that would wish to speak in turn can come to the podium, and just while you're there, I've been asked to have you record your name while you're there, just for our records. If anyone wants to speak to this water amendment, general plan water use and preservation element, please come forward and the time we're giving 3 minutes for each person would like to speak in this public hearing. I think, are we able to use this? Good. We'll set a timer. You can see how much time you have left. So please come.
Great.
State your name too when you're.
Eldon Packer. I'm with Lake Bottom Irrigation Company out of Provo.
Okay.
Just want to let you know that we got notice yesterday in the mail. So anything to do with water, especially this significant, is it's good to notify people, especially the guys who are the boots on the ground that actually use it. And I run a canal company. What you're trying to do, I think, is a good thing. I think we do need to look at this for the future. I think that's great. But please talk with the people who actually use it and start there, because I think a lot of the information that you get just off of the graphs and other things sometimes don't really tell the full story. And I know that in our canal, we're a surface canal company. A lot of the wells and things are recharged in our area because of that canal. We're 13 miles long. We hit 3 different cities. We hit a lot of the significant county area in Provo and West Provo area. We go out through Vineyard, and those type of things is just important to help us know and understand what's going on and what you're trying to represent, because a lot of us also work with the legislature as well and deal with the state issues as well. So I just feel like there's a real piece of what you're hearing in some of this may be missing. So we will definitely do our written comments and those type of things, but we'd appreciate a little bit more notice. I've got a meeting right now, my annual meeting for my irrigation company, so I'm going to leave. But that's just the one thing, and I'll read that. But I haven't had a chance to even get into it yet because there just was no notice. And I would just say we need to have better notice on these type of things.
So just I know your time's up, but you say you haven't had a chance to read it, so you don't really have any comment on it other than the notice right now.
Other than what's been talked about here, and even in the letter that was sent, there just isn't enough information there to really gain an appreciation for what it is you're even trying to do.
Thank you.
So
I have a question.
You bet.
Sorry. How much of the canal is within Utah County versus within the city limits?
About not quite a third, probably 25% of our
Okay, so
canal
there are
area.
portions within the county.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Hello, I'm Juan Garrido. I represent Linden City Public Works, and I'm also the president of both North Union Canal and Provo Bench Irrigation Companies. I also belong to the NUCAC, the North Utah Council Aquifer Council, and I'm in full support of what we're trying to accomplish. I think we're switching from flood irrigation that is way past overdue to do a more efficient way of watering. So I work with Delmas and Katie and a whole bunch of other municipalities, and I think this is a good thing. You just have to make sure we protect everybody that is using the water, which is pretty much the whole county, and offer your support for this program.
So you've reviewed the plan and don't have any objections to it?
So I've been part of helping putting plans together, and I haven't completely read the whole thing as of the last draft. But yeah, we've been part of we have to, as a city, we have to make our conservation plans and plan for the worst, trying to hedge all of our bets on where the next water is going to come from. We, as part of NUCAC, we help monitor our wells and how much of that draw down. So also promote water conservation within our city and our green spaces, try to make it go as far as we can. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that wants to? Great.
So I'm Cynthia Chamberlain. I'm just a resident out in Utah County. My concern, I hope this helps, but there was a few years ago that a rock crushing asphalt company transferred like surface water from Utah Lake to, and was approved to a well with using culinary use water for enough wells for 32 homes. And so I just want to make sure, hopefully in this whole water conservation, we're not taking things that are approved for, surface use dirty water and giving them culinary water. That was really hard for us to see where we have wells that are drying up, that now they're just using them to spray down dust for culinary water. And so I just think that hopefully there's, again, I've not seen any of it because I'm just a person. But hopefully there's something in there that protects culinary use for what it's supposed to be, and it's not just used to spray down dirt trucks. Thanks.
Thank you.
I'm Mark Besant from Pleasant Grove. I'm president of the Pleasant Grove Irrigation Company, chairman of the Pleasant Grove Metropolitan Water Board. I found about this meeting this afternoon and am concerned about the short notice. And when we see these kinds of graphs come up about what is optimum, what is being used, I'm concerned about who's coming up with these kind of figures. I had a sister who had a lovely home down in Ivins, Utah. It's a nice cactus in their front yard and around the landscaping. That's what they considered, I guess, as optimum in that area. And I'm not interested in Utah County looking like Ivins, Utah. But anyway, I have some concerns in terms of notification opportunities to really give input in our area. Covers from the mouth of American Fork Canyon clear over to Linden. We've got agriculture, urban uses, but I have some serious concerns about where all of this is really heading. Those are my comments.
Any questions for Mr. Besant? Any others that would like to address the public hearing? Okay, seeing none, should we close the public
I move
hearing?
to close the public hearing.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to close the public hearing. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The public hearing is now closed. So I have a question for staff. So this plan is more guidelines, or does it put any new requirements into ordinance?
I was hoping you'd ask that question. I was going to try and explain that. General plans are advisory in nature, and so this is part of the general plan, which lays out policies and guidelines that are not regulatory. Those policies would need to be implemented through applications through a land use ordinance in this case. And so any of changes to any of the requirements in the unincorporated areas would be followed up with a land use ordinance text amendment, which would be a public hearing and be notified. We don't anticipate anything pending. I think as people get into this plan, they'll find that it is very well written. It's very agricultural friendly, and it's intended to help preserve and conserve water. Again, anything regulatory would only apply to the unincorporated areas, but we still recognize the need for coordination with systems that serve cities. And so that's been addressed there. But you are correct. This is just advisory. These are policies and guidelines and objectives to. We're still adopting them. And that's the goal, is to meet these, and then those that are needed would be applied through adopting ordinance changes.
I noticed in reading through some of it that there was a request for similar plans, or I don't know, similar or I guess plans from the municipalities or the water districts, and a list of those who, or the last time they had provided updates to their plans or their, i- is that required to these municipalities to provide that to the county?
I'll maybe let Katie expound on that, but as I
Okay.
understand it, I think there was an invitation for them to provide
Okay, is that,
those,
and yeah, I was
and
just
then we
wondering if
could
that was
coordinate that.
a kind of a requirement that we've pushed, or is it just like a request?
These are one of the interesting things that ended up in the code. It says that the county must be aware of the conservation plans that municipalities in the county have. So we put a list of them in there. Now you're aware. So I think that's the
Okay.
minimum.
Okay.
Then if if you wanted to expand upon that, you could coordinate with those cities, read the plans, see what they have in them, see what the county can do to support that. You don't have a conservation plan yourselves. The municipalities are required to have one once they're past a certain size. But yeah, the code, the requirement from the state is the county needs to be aware of the plans, the conservation plans others are doing.
Okay, and maybe to follow on that, so, and just to make sure, since we've heard from the public just now, or and also leaders over some of the water districts, what is there anything in here that's adding new kind of onerous requests or requirements on these districts that weren't there before?
There is nothing on the irrigation districts or for agriculture.
Hmm.
I think the intent of the state is to make sure that the county is coordinating with those systems in your development process. So as they have explained to us, that is part of the development review process, that they try to locate any facilities they're aware of and make sure that the developer is getting all of the required paperwork and authorizations from the canal companies. So no, there's no recommendations or any type of policy that's for an irrigation or canal company.
Okay.
The only thing that would be even a recommendation towards something is those conservation goals that we looked at, that we're recommending you could support some of those things. Again, you have a different role than a water provider or even a city, but it might be something that you can encourage in some creative ways. So.
And Mr. Chair, to follow that up, as I touched on earlier, the county is a very different animal. We really we don't regulate water that much. We don't have any requirements for landscaping water unless you're in a development, which is we get those, but we don't have a lot of them. And there are existing ordinance allowances that allow reductions in those requirements. We're still below what the state requires for irrigation out of using groundwater. But if it's an agricultural operation, we don't have requirements. We don't get into that. We don't regulate. We don't have additional requirements. The only time we get into requirements is when someone is developing residential property, and there may be some landscaping requirements and some irrigation requirements.
Is this plan element, is this replacing one that we used to have?
No, this is a new
A new-
element.
A
as
new
part of the
element.
general plan. Yep.
Okay, that's all I had. Thank you. Any other questions?
I have
Okay.
a question. My understanding of this plan is it doesn't impact any of the current uses. It doesn't limit any of the current uses of the water in the county.
So one of the requirements is to evaluate ways to reduce existing water usage. It doesn't say you have to implement them. It says you have to evaluate it.
Right.
So that is a recommendation from the state. They would like the county to support reduction of existing usage wherever possible.
But
If
that's
a
another
county,
matter down the road that they would have to take up with the particular water users,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. And again, you guys don't have the authority to do that, but like the water companies, they could implement different rates or tiered structures, different structures to encourage reduction of water use, things like that. But again, it's not things the county would be doing.
And this proposed plan does not affect the allocation of water
No,
at all.
no.
And this is just going to be part of the general plan, right?
Yes, what
Because of state law.
what would be recommended for approval tonight will be incorporated as part of the general plan.
Right. And if anything wants to be done with a particular piece of property, with the water use there, it'd have to be by, well, I assume there's going to be ordinances that are going to be created to deal with the plan.
Potentially, there are people. There was an example about a change of use water. We don't get involved in that at all. That's at the state level.
That's state level.
And
Yeah.
so there's a lot of these things that we just don't have any regulation over. The county, the unincorporated Utah County Community Development ordinances. And so, but yeah, if we feel that maybe we can look at our development requirements for outside watering and maybe implement some additional changes, we feel like we've been out in front of that a little bit already. But if we feel like, yeah, we could probably do some more ordinance changes to help facilitate conservation, then we would go through the land use ordinance amendment process.
So as I went through the plan, I didn't see any place where it required people to conserve conserve differently. It's like I said, it's recommendations, it's proposed. This would be smart if you folks did this, but there's no requirement, and so there'd be no violation if they continue to conserve water, use the water they're now the way they're now using it.
Yeah. Yeah, with this being a new element, it's the first year. And so we took a very high level, just these are some things you might want to look into. Maybe over time, maybe you tighten it down more and head toward ordinances. But right now, it's just here are some things to be aware of as we move forward.
And this element can be amended. We can come back and get some feedback, get some use out of it, whatever that looks like, and we can come back and do a general plan amendment and address things, make sure we're compliant with what the state requires, but we can look at that too.
And so just one more. So this, if we pass this, it would be a recommendation from the planning commission to the county commission. And when would they hear this one?
I'm glad you asked that question too. So the county commission meets every Wednesday. There are some holidays coming up, and so we anticipate putting this on the county commission agenda for December 3rd, which is a Wednesday. We'll notice it up. People can contact our office to get that date to make sure it's set. The state does require this to be adopted by the end of the year, so we want to give the county commission. They have 2 or 3 meetings in December, so we want to give them the opportunity to, if they need to continue it for a week or two or whatever. So it will be before the county commission for final approval, anticipated on December 3rd.
Okay.
I think I heard you mention that maybe Utah County hadn't filed their water conservation plan, but you're not required to file one, are you?
No.
Because you don't have 500 connections and stuff like that. The other item is how accurate do we need to be on a lot of these facts and figures as far as water sources, capacity sources for cities and storage capacities and stuff like that?
That's another one of the requirements that was perplexing to us. The state already collects all that data. So every water supplier is required to report all of those things. It already exists in state databases. So we regurgitated back out what was in the state database. We have done master plans for about a third of the municipalities in your county. And so where we've done their master plan and we know more about their city, we use that data. And then we went to WaterLink. So that's a public database anybody can access. It has the safe yield, which is more about how much the aquifer can produce. And so if we had, they were asking for gallons per minute. Safe yield is usually in volume per year. But they also have a gallons per minute rate on there. So we pulled from there. And if that didn't pan out, each water provider reports their actual use each year. And so we took the highest use and used that number. So we had to pull that together for every municipality in the entire county, pulling from our knowledge, from WaterLink, or from reported use. So I don't think that the state is going to have a certain requirement for accuracy there. I think it's just to give you guys an idea of the magnitude of how much water is being used in the county. But certainly that would be an opportunity for places to improve in the future.
Yeah, excuse me. And yeah, the only reason I bring that up is because I previously worked at Vineyard City, so I know some of
Yeah.
these facts and figures aren't quite accurate. And so, uh, and just for general knowledge, where it talks about the table, it talks about acre feet purchased from Century Water.
Mm-hmm.
There's this is use it or lose it kind of thing. So
Oh, mm-hmm.
whatever you're contracted for, you have purchased, so that might better reflect the amount of water that is actually purchased and whether it's
Well,
used or not,
and
because it's
that we
purchased.
pulled from what's reported to the Division of Water Rights. And so I'm not, maybe you're even more familiar with that of if actual use is reported to water rights versus the purchased amount.
Yeah.
I would imagine it's actual usage. So I think it says purchased, but we got that from Division of Water Rights.
Yeah.
So it's probably actual.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's correct. It is actual use, but
Okay.
that where it says purchase,
Yeah.
they don't
That's
they don't
different. Yeah.
jive
Mm-hmm.
correctly. And I know this is new as well, but Vineyard currently is 100% Century Water.
Mm-hmm.
They divorced themselves from Orem this year. So, but again, those are little minor little things there. So.
Okay. I thank you. Any further questions for these guys? Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion. I move that we approve the Utah County to. I make a motion to approve the amendment to add the water use and preservation element to the Utah County General Plan, along with any applicable renumbering and reformatting in each section or chapter based on the minimum findings that were noted.
Can we just
So
add
I would
recommend
add
approve?
recommend, yeah.
Yeah.
So we're
Does that work?
recommending to the Utah.
Recommend.
Yes.
Second.
To say recommend.
Yes, we need to say recommend. Okay, so we've got a motion to approve the recommendation of this
I'll second.
plan element, and it's been seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor of approving this plan element, say aye.
Aye.
Recommending approval of recommendation. I don't know, either one of the both. Any opposed, say nay. Okay, it's been approved. Thank you for those who came for this item. We'll now move in the agenda to item D. This is for conditional use applications. We'll first hear from Pacific Corp.
So, as you probably are aware, Pacific Corp has requested that that this item be continued until the January Planning Commission meeting, which we anticipate to be the January 20th. Is what our schedule. We haven't approved that schedule yet, but we anticipate that will be the date that they would likely
They
be on.
specifically request this because they knew Karen wasn't going to be here.
I can't speak to that, but yeah, so they did make that request, and so we would recommend that we can continue this item to the January Planning Commission meeting.
And they're not here to speak to that
They are not.
extension request?
Yeah, and we did our best to get the word out to residents that may have been interested in this, just so that they would not have to attend and not hear any discussion on this as well. So,
I know the question was asked, and maybe I'll just re-ask it just for the benefit of everyone here. So is there any reason to deny the extension? I mean, is there a justified reason to deny it?
so this is
To deny the continuation, sorry.
Sure. So this is their application, and as Dale can probably speak more to this, but with it being their application, they have the ability to make this request to withdraw their application. So this is kind of we it's kind of in their court make this, they can request specific dates for this to be heard. It really is, there isn't a really good reason not to allow this to be continued.
Okay. Any discussion from the commission on this item?
Considering a lot of the public comments and things that I saw, it looks like there's still a lot that they got to work out on this. So
Probably.
Mhm.
Okay. Is there a motion?
I will move that we continue this item until the January 20th, 2026 meeting of the Planning Commission.
Moved
I second.
and seconded to approve the continuation of the Pacific Core application CU 2025-05. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that's been passed. If you're here for the Pacific Core item, that'll be revisited in January. Moving on the agenda, we now have an application CU 2025-12 Frogtown Solar.
Hi, yes. My name is Lindsay. I'm here representing Avangrid Power. We were granted a conditional use permit on December 1st, 2022. And we're just requesting an extension of that conditional use permit. And it's for this, it's a 325 megawatt solar facility. So yeah, go ahead.
In reading the material that I was given, so this is already been approved permit, and you're just asking for an extension that was going to expire in soon.
Yes.
December, is
yes,
it right? Okay.
That's correct.
So it was going to just expire in December, and you're asking for it to be extended.
That's correct. Yep.
And so, again, I'll ask staff: is there any reason that we should consider? I mean, an extension is something we grant, right? If
Sure.
unless there's
So our ordinance requires that, or allows for an extension to be granted if there is substantial, to meet a level of substantial justice. That term is used in state code as well. The applicant,
say that term again.
substantial justice.
Substantial justice. Okay, I'm
Correct.
here for that.
If you want more about that, we have our attorney here to give you more detail on that.
We talked about substantial before. Let's put Dale on the spot.
So so the applicant has made that request in writing as per our ordinance. They have identified reasons for the need for that substantial justice to be met. Those include kind of finding an off-taker or purchaser of the power that they would produce. The federal uncertainties, current federal uncertainties, and then also supply of raw materials due to supply or due to constraints with tariffs and stuff like that. Just to give you a little more background, initially this was granted an extension at the time that our ordinance at that time allowed for 1 year, and then they could request additional time. At that time, they did request additional time, and the planning commission or the Board of Adjustment granted that. The ordinance now has been modified and allows for one extension of 5 years. So after, if this extension is granted, that extension, at the end of that extension, if that project hasn't received or hasn't obtained a permit pursuant to the project, they would have to go through the conditional use process again and make that same request.
Okay.
Other than that, their request is to extend it 5 year, or the date that they would be extending to is based on the approval or the expiration date that they currently have. So that would be December of 2020 or 2030 that this would be extended to.
Okay. And
we also, sorry, we did also receive 3 comments Those mainly dealt with the approval of the project, not necessarily didn't specifically identify the comments for substantial justice. It mainly just dealt with um, the the conditional use approval, the initial approvals, which this isn't a rehearing of that approval. This is only just to address an extension. So we're not here to address, and you have dealt with this before. This is only to, we're not here to hear the conditions. We're not here to modify those conditions. We're only here to allow for an extension as per our ordinance
For substantial justice.
for substantial justice.
And so in this case, if there's reasons that they have not been able to hit this timeline that are justifiable. I mean, is basically the
Yeah, so there are a number of things, and the next application kind of goes into more detail on those types of things with solar projects. There are multiple things that they need to address, including agreements with the Pacific Core because the connection agreements for the grid. There are infrastructure improvements potentially that would have to be included. There are other kind of supply and permitting processes that they would potentially have to go through. It is reasonable to understand the need for some of these things and to grant that.
Thank you. Did you have more you wanted to say?
I think you addressed it. Yeah, and I would just add that Pacific Corp has procured over the last couple of years, and so it's not just us in this boat. And that's probably the bigger reason, because we have agreements with solar companies in the U.S. and otherwise, but I'd say the offtake, the purchase of the power is the biggest one.
Any questions for the applicant? Thank you. Any questions for staff? Anyone?
You have good questions.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion.
There you go.
I did one already. You want to do one?
Okay.
I move that we approve the extension of the termination date for appeal number 1609, which is a conditional use request for a solar energy facility as an electrical power generation plant, subject to staff findings included in section 4 of the staff report and the conditions included in the 2022 action report, restated with an updated termination date of December 1, 2030.
Moved
Second.
and seconded. Any further discussion? Okay, then we'll call for a vote. All those in favor of this motion, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, back to the agenda. Hang on. We are on application CO 2025-13 for Quicksilver Solar.
Thank you. Also, another extension. This is for Quicksilver. Some of you may remember this project and be familiar because they have submitted multiple applications for expansions of this site. The original application was submitted in 2021. They were, just to give you an idea, that's the area that was included in this application. The approval was granted, and they also asked for an extension. That extension is coming up in 2026, October of 2026. They're requesting this extension kind of to align with some of the other approvals that they have received, so that they can kind of make sure that their entire project can be developed at the same time. Just to give you a quick idea, just give you a little bit of additional information about this. There are the original application was made up of multiple parcels. In the approvals of that were originally granted, the applicant was required to combine parcels in order to remove an agricultural restriction. They have done so. And this kind of shows a little bit of what the green outline shows, what the original parcels, outside boundary of the parcels. The highlighted or the shaded area is the combined area. One parcel now is no longer, well, it's part of the approval, but it's not anticipated to be used other than an access road. So just to give you a better idea, that area that is highlighted in red is the original parcel configuration, but the area that is not opaque within that is the area that will not be included in, will not include any structures associated with the solar project. Hopefully I confused you sufficiently. But other than that, the original approval included that area so that it is included in this. But just to make sure that it's clear that that area that is not filled in is not going to be included in the conditional or the solar facility. The applicant again identified reasons for the substantial justice requirement to be, or to justify the substantial justice requirement. They included kind of the fact that they have multiple approvals that are part of the same project that kind of need to be coordinated, that requires additional planning and additional coordination. The Pacific Core process as well, making sure that any upgrades are completed, any requirements by Pacific Core can be met. The off-taker, finding an off-taker for the power that's generated from the plant, the planning and coordination with other stakeholders, and then also infrastructure improvements. They are asking, or the ordinance allows for the 5-year extension. The extension would put the termination date to September 2nd, 2031, which at that time, if there wasn't an application or there wasn't a permit obtained for that project, then they would be required to submit a conditional use to a new conditional use to go through that process again. The applicant is here to address this if you have any questions as well.
So once again, this isn't really hearing whether they should or not. It's just giving them an extension.
Correct. This is only about extending the project. This is not about conditions or any of the ability for them to have the conditional use.
So one of the reasons is so that they can kind of join conditional use permits.
Yeah, so I think the applicant probably can address this better than I can, but the area that I didn't include a slide that showed the entire area, but in fact, just as recently as earlier this year, they have obtained additional areas that need to be coordinated and planned to kind of include the entire facility, and that's one of the reasons they're asking for that additional time.
So before you, I just have a question on the 5-year. If they don't hit in 5-year, they have to kind of start over. Does that change if I mean, can they just keep adding parcels and new permits on small parcels adjoining that then extend this out in perpetuity?
This is only for this area. It does not include any of the additional approvals. If they could not, the only way that the area could be added onto is if they go through the entire conditional use process
for the joint.
So if they wanted to add on to this area, they would, but they wanted to include that area, which I'm sure that they wouldn't want to do. But if they did want to go through that process of adding to this conditional use, they would have to go through the entire process, including any of the requirements that have changed and have to meet those.
Okay. Any further questions for staff? Okay, we'll hear what you have to say about your request.
Good evening, Commissioners. I'm Adrienne Bell with Holland and Hart. It's good to see you again. I'm here representing the applicant. Just in response to a couple of the questions, yes, as we have developed the project over the years, we have acquired additional sites for use for solar. And rather than amending the existing approval, which is the one before you on the screen, we have processed them as separate conditional use permits. So we now have the main project site, which is the one before you, plus some additional sites that we secured because they were processed as separate CUPs. They all have separate termination dates. We want to ensure that we maintain our approval on this main project site to at least get us to the point with the other project CUPs that we have sufficient time to continue to develop the project. That's just how the patchwork has developed over the years. In terms of the justification, we have been working diligently on developing the project since we've been before you and, well, the Board of Adjustment in 2021, acquiring additional sites. We've been working on the interconnection piece. The proposed interconnection substation is the Mercer substation in Eagle Mountain. This year alone, we will have spent $13 million in interconnection upgrades with Rocky Mountain Power. We anticipate spending another $11 million next year to ensure that our project can interconnect and that the Rocky Mountain Power grid system can support it. So we are definitely dedicated to this project. We're committed to it. We're investing heavily in it. And we just respectfully request the extension so we can continue on with our work.
Any questions for the applicant? Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep. Is there any further discussion? Is there a motion?
Basically, I think this means that just they have until whenever their first one, up until like 20, I guess with this
31.
extension, up until 2030 to get everything put together. And
31.
And once this is, there's no extensions after this. They would have to go through the entire process
Correct.
again after
Yep.
if they don't.
That's what I understand as well. Yep. Any further discussion? Is there a motion?
I can make a motion.
Okay.
Yeah, I make a motion that the Utah County Planning Commission approve the extension of the termination date for Appeal 1595, a conditional use request for solar energy facility as an electrical power generation plant subject to staff finding included in Section 4 of the staff report and the conditions included in the 2021 action report restated with an updated termination date of September 2nd, 2031.
Moved.
Second.
And seconded. All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. That's been approved. We'll now move to the next section in our agenda, which is our agriculture protection area. We have a couple items, 4 items for agricultural protection areas. And we'll first hear on Reshlar
Yeah.
LLC.
So, thank you for listening to us. I'm Kevin with Community Development, and yes, we do have these 4 applications. This first one is Reshlar, as you can see from the picture there. It's Rex Larson's corn maze. They're just off the Benjamin exit. So before we jump into this, and I'm sure you're all experts on this already, but just a couple of reminders of what ag protection is and what it isn't. Sometimes that's a little bit of a confusion. Ag protection allows property owners only to take certain advantages. It doesn't really affect the neighbors around them. For example, if you own a dairy farm and your farm isn't the most pleasant smelling and your neighbors want you to shut it down because it smells, they can take you to court and the judge has to throw it out. There's no argument there. Also, it does give protections against zone changes. So if the county, or once they get annexed into a city, if they wanted to come in and change the zoning, they could not do that. Excuse me, they can do that, but it's a little bit more difficult. There's several more steps that would need to take place. And then finally, my mind went blank on that. It does not prevent the property owner from developing. So for example, if you are in a farm and you have the ag protection, and then you decide, I want to build industrial buildings here, the county comes in and says, we're going to change this zoning to industrial. As the property owner, you agree, everything can move forward with those changes, and you can still remain in ag protection, or you could get out of ag protection. Getting out is a cost-free, very simple process. It takes a couple of weeks, and you're out. So it really does not hurt the landowners in any way that way. A couple of things that they do need to do through the state regulations. They allow us to set the minimum acreage. We've just recently lowered that to 20 acres. And then also they do need to be practicing good farming practices. Also, they do need to be part of the Greenbelt. They need to be in a zone that allows for farming, and they need to be pursuing good, like we talked about, good farming practices. Your role as the Planning Commission is we need to evaluate the applications. There's certain things that they're going to be looking at, making sure that it is good prime farmland, and we're not, putting a ag protection on rocks or something like that. The state regulates, they said that we need to be, is it currently in production? Is it zoned for that? Is it viable? And do we anticipate in the future that this is going to continue as an agricultural area? There is a protest period. Once we notice this, there's a 15-day, I word it as a protest. It's actually a 15-day period where people can add, make comments, make requests to be removed, or protest. And so we need to evaluate each one of those individually and see if they want to be included or removed, or whatever the case may be. Once that is done, we will pass on the information to the Planning Commission. There is an Ag Board that will also pass on their recommendations, and the County Commission, and the County Commission will make the final decision on that process. So this particular one, as we mentioned, is just right off of the Benjamin exit. Let's see, just right there to the north in the pink, that is Spanish Forks City's current boundaries, and then to the south is Salem. Or excuse me, that is correct, yes. So this one is approximately 20.5 acres, so it just barely makes the minimum there. And I did a soils report on this, and it came back that it is 100% prime farmland. So you can see the zoning, it is RA5. Just to the north is one that maybe you remember we did about 2 years ago, the Leland ag protection there. Kind of gives you an idea of what's going on there. And it does lie in the Spanish Fork annexation policy plan, and they were made aware of this request. The surrounding areas do consist, as you can see, as farmlands and different things. To the east, it is starting to develop, and we're getting more residential. A little bit to the south is starting to develop. At the moment, they're mostly open fields, but they are developing as well. The final is during that protest period, we did have some applicants that wanted to make some changes. In the blue there, that applicant wished to be added to the request. And then our Public Works Department asked for the road in black to be excluded, and that with a, I believe that's a 56-foot right-of-way on that one as well. Other than that, that is all of the requests, and I will entertain any questions you have for me. The applicant is not here, but he did send a representative, I believe, that was willing to speak if you have any questions as well.
I remember that joining properties can join in on it, right? I remembered that from your, so the road, that's just a request from the county department,
Public Works.
Public
Yep.
Works. And is the 50, what did you say, the off
the right of way, just
right
the
of ways?
width of the right of way there.
That's
yeah.
just the normal standard right of way, or
for that type of a road. Typically, the process is the county will go through and they'll purchase the land. They're not going to take land from people that aren't in the business of doing that. And they would purchase that land. And in that case, the county would then be the owner of the land, and they can make the decision of staying in or out of the ag protection as well. So that's kind of the process that's happened in the past.
Does that amount of land decrease the requested amount to less than 20 acres? Okay, good.
The requirement is as long as the original proposal, now with this here, we're approximately 30 acres or something, but if we were right at 20 acres and there was a road going through it and it was asked to be removed, the state law requires that the original proposal has to meet the minimum. And then whatever modifications you have, that doesn't matter.
So it seems to meet all the requirements.
It does. So staff recommendations is we are in favor of honoring the proposal with the addition.
So I kind of have an unrelated question, but it kind of goes back to the water use element. With ag protection and stuff like that, if for some reason the county were to try to decrease water usage on agricultural land, this would be exempt from that, correct?
Yes, if in that scenario, we'd have to have a governing ordinance, probably a land use ordinance. And once ag protection is assigned to a property, then they get all the benefits of the ordinance in place at the time that they received ag protection.
That little triangle at the top, that's not part
That's
of
a
either.
different parcel, somebody else's property. Yep.
Any further questions?
You ready for a motion?
Yes, let's do it.
Okay. I I move that the Utah County Planning Commission recommends approval to the Utah County Commission of the proposed creation of the Reshlar 2025 Ag Protection Area for agriculture protection, which includes approximately 20.52 acres with the addition of A and B and based on the staff report and minimum findings listed above.
I second that.
Okay, it's been approved or moved and seconded to approve the staff recommendation on this designation. Is there any further discussion from the commission before we vote?
Was there any request on the roads as well?
Yeah.
Or any recommendation on
Is
the
that
roads?
in?
Was that on
Any
this?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear.
So there were two requests for modification. One was to add the additional property, and the other one was to remove the road right of way.
He did say A and
I
B.
said A.
I was what he said. Great.
Yeah, with
So that would,
A
just to
and
be
B.
clear, that would include
Yes,
the request
includes
to
A and B.
B is less the county
Okay.
road at 1800 West with 56.
Thank you.
Right away. Okay. Any further discussion or questions? Then let's call for a vote. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed with nay? The motion passes. We'll move to the second application for the Thompson family.
And as he's pulling that up, just as a point of information, there is another review board. It's going to be the Ag Board, and it's going to be a very similar meeting to this. Then it will go to the County Commission. At that time is when we'll have the public hearing. So the Thompson is a similar one. It is located. Oh, we're well aware of all of these wonderful things here. We're going to skip that here. So this one here is located just south of Spanish Fork. It is surrounded by Spanish Fork City there in the pink. It is approximately 23 acres. And with a soils report that does show that it is 65% prime farmland. It is currently being farmed as well. The area lies in the RA5 zone and the TR5 zone. And it is in, once again, the Spanish Fork annexation policy plan, and they are have been made aware of this. We did get a request again from the roads department to remove this one as well, as it's also another 56-foot right of way. It kind of splits that property right down the middle there with that road. As you can see, the surrounding areas, it is developing all around it. Immediately around it, it is also being used as farmland, and then as you can see, all the development and residential that is around it as well. And there's just some more pictures of the land. So staff, once again, with this one also does recommend approval. And we do have our applicant here as well, if you wish to hear from her.
Can you move it back one picture?
Figure out where that is.
Can we back it up a little bit more?
Yeah, so it's
Oh, let's see. You can.
Fairgrounds are up here
Yeah,
somewhere.
it's just right around the fairgrounds. Yeah.
Are there any questions for staff, the applicant? Anyone ready to make a motion?
I can.
Okay.
The Utah County Planning Commission recommends approval to the Utah County Commission of the proposed creation of the Thompson Family Farmstead 2025 Agricultural Protection Area for agricultural protection, which includes approximately 23.84 acres along with item A, Lester County Road, River Bottoms Road with the 56-foot right-of-way for the Utah County Public Works and based on the staff report and minimum findings listed above.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Call for a vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Say nay. Motion passes. Move next to the D.W. Miller land livestock.
Okay, so this one is located more in the Benjamin area. As you can see on the map there, to the east is mostly Spanish Fork City. The original application was for 140.25 acres. The soil report shows 23% prime farmland and 62 farmland of statewide importance. Let's see. The area is in the RA5. Most of the proposed area is in the Payson Annexation Policy Plan. They were also notified and aware of this meeting as well. As you can see, also the area around it does consist of a lot of farms and what they're asking for as well. Now, this one here is a little bit more unique. As we mentioned in that 15-day protest period or change period, we did receive a lot of applications. There were a lot of people that wanted to add. So you can see the pink there, the orange, whatever color that is. They were all ones that did request. You can also see there are 3 in kind of a brighter orange. Those were after that 15-day protest period. However, in talking with the attorney and looking through the state code, it is your discretion if you want to include those or not. Staff is in favor of including those. You'll see down on the bottom in the middle, there's one that's got an X through it. That one doesn't touch. That one's not consistent with the state code. They do need to be touching, and so that one should be excluded from the request. You can also see we have several roads in there that requested to be removed in black. Those are 56-foot right-of-ways. Let me see if I get them all right here. In blue is an 84-foot right-of-way. That's the smaller one on the left, sorry. The upper one, that is a future road that is not there yet. That's 8,000 south. The black road is there, and it's smaller at the moment. And then further to the east, that one is there as well, but the current blue line is not there yet. So they've requested for that one. It will be a major road. It's a 132-foot right-of-way that the Public Works is requesting for that one. And then, let's see, it looks like we used the yellow one, and that one is for a 109-foot right-of-way.
The blue is 8,000.
8,000 south.
Yeah. Is it, that's the road that goes all the way over and then over the interstate?
Yeah,
Let me
that's 8,000,
back
but
out here a bit.
8,000 south hasn't been completed to that point at this stage.
Yeah, you can kind of see to the right or to the east of that area. There's no road there for a little bit. There's not a laser pointer on here, sorry.
So this map right here is just showing the original application,
right?
And all of the additional is all that's surrounding.
Yeah.
Is there any kind of a potential problem for these islands that it creates?
According to state code, they've met all the requirements. There's no potential problems. It's just an additional protection on those properties. Excuse me.
Just
So
as a, sorry, this is Bryce with staff. Just as a reminder, ag protection doesn't change any of the underlying zoning, and the uses are all going to be similar to the RA5 zone, whether they're in or out.
And all of those properties, except for that one down at the bottom, all of those properties do touch. And the applicant would like to speak as well.
I was gonna have him say it for me. I mean, I can make it really quick, or I can read you my entire
Dissertation.
reasons. Yeah, dissertation is a very good way to put it. As an applicant, I'm just asking that you not remove the right-of-way widths from the ag protection. It's just to the point of what I'm at. Do you want me to give you my whole soapbox dissertation about it? I was also the applicant for the Leland Ag Protection in 2023. The road widths were kept into that. That was contiguous to the money ag protection of, I think, over 6,000 acres. That's in Palmyra. Also in the county, also included all the road widths. And then earlier this year, I was the applicant for I like ag protection areas, sorry. So I was the applicant for the Larson Ag Protection area in Spanish Fork City boundaries. They too kept all the road widths in. So, sorry, there's floating in front of me. I'm just asking that this one be treated consistent with that.
I guess you're asking that we not include the roads?
Yeah, I'm asking, so keep the roads in, don't exclude future road widths. I'm asking that all mile long, everybody who added into it, let everybody add into it. I'm just asking that you not exclude any right-of-way widths for future roads. And you can still have roads in the ag protection per state code, so.
Why does Public Works want them excluded?
Yeah.
I wish they were here. If they were, I would give my whole entire speech to them, but I think
they've been consistent on trying to exclude their roads and future roads just for planning purposes.
So do we put any hurdles in place by doing that to them?
Okay.
But if it's in an ag protection area, it doesn't prohibit the county from creating a road in that area.
Correct. It adds levels of complexity of potentially obtaining the right of way.
I mean, I'm not really wanting to hear a dissertation, but I'm starting to get curious as to what the hear the full argument out.
I can make it really quick to the point. So Mountain Fork Parkway over in Salem. My family had sold 100 acres of our property to the county for that road. So when that first started, that was a straight line on the map. But when Glenn and Richard got in there, were talking to the property owners, they moved it and shifted it around so that it wasn't as impactful on the farmers. So that's why it kind of curves where it goes. This way, if you preemptively take out an entire section, it's not going to end up being a straight line. So where the property owners are the ones asking to have it be in ag protection, wait till it actually gets through the process, talk to them about it. This isn't the avenue, I think, to actually go through and be asking to preemptively take it out. So when it comes down to it, the lines, it's not going to be a straight line road. That kind of makes sense?
So you're basically reserving the discussion for a later date on where the roads are going to go.
Mm-hmm. After it goes through the planning, after it goes through the environmental, and we actually know more, like siting wise, what's going to be there, because there's so many springs, creeks, creeks at the water out there that by the time you get the wetland permitting coming in, it's going to have to jog around, and that's going to be outside the very straight width for the right of way that they're wanting to take out. Mm-hmm. And then I think another aspect of it is with it being ag protection, that just makes it to where they're more part of the conversation, making sure that agriculture can still function. It does not say at all that you can't use it for a road. So that's just making sure that you can actually still make sure that agriculture.
So you want curvy roads, which are quaint,
if it has to be
dangerous.
I would not want us to be bifurcated. So where that top right blue road is, a lot of that out there, it's pivot irrigation, or not pivot irrigation, it's a well line irrigation. Sorry. So that's going to bifurcate the roads. So that would make part of it to where it's not even really viable. If it has to shift, sure, but I don't think we're at this point now to say where it does go. One more thing is that this line, that top right blue line, it's not on the Utah County's general plan's transportation element. This is on Mac's plan.
If it's approved as such, does that require Utah County to put that road in that right of way?
Approved as such.
Well,
What do you mean by that?
if we grant, okay, I guess if we
If we grant the
ag-
exclusion
Yeah.
as recommended by staff, does that mean the road has to follow this?
No. This is just exempting it from ag protection.
Also, those conversations with Public Works will happen as well. They're going to have to deal with each individual property owner to acquire that right of way. They will not be excluded from that conversation as well.
So what is keeping these exclusions in the approval? How does that
Complicate it?
How does it complicate it? Yeah.
I'm going to turn to our attorney for that one.
Hoping to avoid that, but so what you're going to do is you're going to change, like Bryce said, you just made it more complex, and I think that's why the county commission generally excludes roads. You will make them curvy. You will change it changes the standard for eminent domain. It just makes it more difficult for a court. It makes it more difficult for the government to build roads. That's what you're doing. The ag protection statute changes the standard for eminent domain if you leave the roads in.
But if the county needed to, they could go through the reversal process at the time and say, let's just take the ag protection off of this corridor where we actually want to put the road, right?
No, we can't take it out for that purpose.
Mm.
Yeah, once we place it on there, we're stuck with the higher standard. Unless the property owner takes it out of ag protection.
Would they have to take the whole parcel out, or
Nope.
could they take a portion?
Just take the road, yeah.
Okay.
What if the county bought the property for the road?
We always buy property for roads.
So then the county could take it out then at that point in time.
Well, but we would buy it at a different rate because the eminent domain, the condemnation process changes if it's in an APA.
And I'll just say, as being on that end of it and after working with UDOT and everybody else, the county's very good about how they're treating people and how they go out there and make sure that everybody's treated, compensated correctly, and they've been great with that. But sorry, and also you said you didn't want a dissertation, and I even tried narrowing it down. But
You're right.
Do you have any other questions for me, by chance?
So we potentially could approve this just as it's recommended, but the commissioners could obviously reject that as well.
Yes, this is just a recommendation. You also have the option to approve it with some exclusions, not all exclusions. Again, some of these are already existing roads that are being requested to be excluded. There was only, as I believe, just that upper right blue one is the one that's a future road.
I guess I'm not fully understanding why if we exclude, for example, where there's no road right now, this blue one, how that makes it easier if the county comes in later and eventually wants to put in a curvy road. It seems to me that it's going to be complicated anyway.
No, they don't want to put in curvy roads. Those are dangerous and require much more property to be disturbed.
Okay.
That's why Public Works has road maps, and they try to plan these out years and decades in advance so you have a better road.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So the county wants to keep the roads just like this.
Exactly. Yeah, the way it is, the way it's drawn, and that's why they asked to exclude it, because they believe that will be the safest, best route for that road. Not saying that's where it's going to go, but if everything works out as planned, that's where they would like the road to go because it's the best use for it.
But the county would have to acquire that land.
Always have to acquire.
Right. Yeah.
And just to provide a little context, the county has recently launched an effort to update our general plan, which will include our transportation element and create a transportation master plan. So hopefully within a year, we'll kind of review some of our planned roads and have those included in some of our updated documents.
So the note does state the county is currently and actively working on obtaining the right of way for the future 8000 South Road corridor. Are they working out this far? Have they contacted property owners about that?
With that, I'm also working closely with UDOT, have been for a while, and specifically on the Benjamin Interchange project. From what I understand, the county is working to obtain the property for the road from I-15 to 3200 West. Between 3200 West and this here, no. So I think that's, yes, they are working to acquire 8000 South, but not 8,000 South through here. That has to come up. And on MAG's plan, this is I think phase 3 future road, and it's not even showing us physically constrained. So at best, according to MAG's future planning, 2050. That's outside the 20-year lifespan of an ag protection anyway. So that would be a future, very future thing.
When the county negotiates for those right of ways and stuff like that and compensate the property owner, do they take into the account the existing usage of the property and how it affects that usage for irrigation, for example?
Yes, they have to. So
So all these property owners have joined in, and that adds a little bit more responsibility to us to get this right, because it's a much larger area, right? And if it was single properties, one at a time, then maybe that makes it a little easier. I don't know, but since this public works request to keep these off is there, it's going to be hard to not see that as serving Utah County to keep this out. To me, it seems like, I mean, I'm just stating my opinion here. It seems like there's a benefit to other property owners around there to allow for this so that they can have the roads that they need. So yes, these guys need the agricultural protection, but not protecting these road areas is not really, it's hurting the rest of Utah County to not exclude that. That's my opinion. Is there further questions? Discussion?
I'll make a motion to approve the creation of the D.W. Miller Land Livestock Agricultural Protection Area, including all of the additions listed that are not, or that are contiguous, and with the exclusion of the proposed roads by Utah County Public Works.
And staff findings.
And
staff findings.
and staff findings.
I'll second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to approve the agricultural protection with the exclusions that have been requested from Public Works for the roads. It's been moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion before we vote?
I think we should include the roads. I like straight roads. And you have the county has the flexibility to, if they need to change it, they can change it. But I think they should be included, as staff recommends.
So is the motion?
Technically, that means they're
Pardon me?
excluded.
That's the motion,
as staff
isn't it?
recommends. Yeah.
As
That is
staff.
the motion.
Okay,
Yes.
gotcha.
That's
the
that's
case,
the
then
motion.
I'm wrong.
We got double negatives going on here.
Okay.
Keep you on your toes.
All right. If there's no further discussion, let's call for a vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Nay. The motion passes. So that's our four.
Sorry, was there was a nay?
I'm sorry, what?
There was a nay? Did I
There
hear
was
that?
no
Okay,
nay.
I
No,
thought you
I,
said
I
nay.
just said if there were any opposed, say nay, and there was no nays except for my asking for nays.
I thought you were voting nay.
And just to
Or
understand, we
nay
are
sayer.
excluding the roads. Is that correct?
Thank you. Okay. We're on to other business. We have one item on other business.
Got one
Last.
Go to the
more,
Beck
actually.
Farm.
Oh, the Beck Farm.
Like for us
Yes,
to do that.
Beck's, please.
All right. So let's see. So this one here is, as you can see, located very similar location, just off the Benjamin exit there as well, a little bit further to the north. The Benjamin exit is actually at the bottom of that page. You can't quite see it. So it's approximately 25 acres. Soil report shows there's 100% prime farmland. It's in the RA5 zone. This one is in the Spanish Fork annexation policy plan, and once again, they were notified. The surrounding areas, as you can see, are currently being farmed and will be consistent with that. There was one additional request to add the one there in blue, and there were not any requests from Public Works on this one.
Cover the objection also.
Oh, I apologize. There was an objection as well from the gentleman. He is just on the south of the original one, just to the east. And he said that it would be, let me bring that in my staff report here. He had 3 objections, I believe. Let me get that pulled up here. There you go. He said it is not compliant with Utah code. If you recall, or Utah County code, we just barely changed this to 20 acre minimum, and he said you have to have the 40. So a few months ago, that is correct, but it's no longer correct. So it is compliant with that. He did also say that it did not meet the contiguity. Thank you.
Contiguity.
Portion of that. We have precedent in the past and in other places that if they touch at a point, that is considered contiguous. We've done that in the past on other ag protection areas and feel that it can be applied to this as well. His claim of the adverse impact on adjacent properties, I see no evidence of that. He didn't provide any evidence, and from the years that I've been doing this, I do not know of a negative impact to other property owners. And then it's inconsistent with the Spanish Fork annexation policy plan. They don't have a zoning for this area. It is part of their policy plan where they want to annex it in, but it is consistent with the land use codes that are in place at the time and for future use. And when it's annexed in, then they will designate and change those codes. So from staff's review of this, I don't believe any of his points are valid.
So the blue is in, and the white shaded areas are.
White shade is the original application. The blue to the north, the outlined blue, dark blue, is the request to be added.
And okay, I guess I'm confused by seeing the 2 Becks over all the way over this end. So the Larson was the original, but it's Beck.
It's also me. I like ag protections. So I can give you the whole back history on this. So my husband's great-great-great-grandfather was Joseph Beck.
Okay.
That was actually also an Indian reservation there. The Becks are a cousin, and we call that the Beck Farm.
Oh, okay.
Because anything about farming, it's named after somebody who died 100 years ago. So that's why.
So the name on our agenda is whatever you put on the application. Is that what it is?
Yes.
Okay.
I will just at the rate I'm going, I'll just start naming them after you guys if you just want to start a rotation.
Sure. Okay, that makes sense.
And can I just be snarky and say the road's included in this one? So that's nice. Thank you.
Okay.
So on the report, it's showing 4 parcels. Is that correct? But the map's showing 3 parcels?
So there's a really tiny, let's see, this is the one with the tiny one. There's 2 down on the south. There's one to the right, and then there's the requested one to be added.
You got it.
There's a yellow line in the middle of this.
Right.
Oh,
That
okay.
one has 2 parcels.
Okay. All right.
Oh, yeah. Got it. Okay. Any further questions? What is this diagonal road?
That's a
That's the train.
Oh, that's the train track. Got it.
It is the Army of the Republic, the train.
Any further discussion on this one? There are no, I mean, I know there's a road down the bottom of this, but are there access roads going?
So there is an access road just on the tip of that blue triangle that wanted to be added. It comes in kind of following along the train tracks there, but it's just the tip that basically gives access to that parcel.
The way we get to the backfield is so to the right of that smaller triangle, that's a rectangle, that's not a triangle. So we have a road that goes from there to the backfield.
But that's not what county road.
Oh, no. Oh, I thought I said access road.
No, just county roads.
Oh, just kidding then.
Yeah.
You don't mind.
Well,
Okay.
yeah, just wondering what the access was. That's good. Any further questions from anyone? This one easier? This one's easier, right? Smaller?
Yeah.
Okay,
If there's no further questions, I'll make a motion.
Stu?
That Utah County Planning Commission recommends approval to the Utah County Commission of the proposed creation of the Beck Farm 2025 Agricultural Protection Area for agriculture protection, which includes approximately 25.15 acres. Addition of the Eccles parcel number 250090038, which is 11.94 acres per the owner's written request and based on the staff report and minimum findings listed above.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Nay. There were no nays, for the record. Okay, we are moving to the one other piece of business. Thanks, Karen. The other business is, this was brought up last month about adding the Pledge of Allegiance back to the agenda of this meeting. Any discussion?
Karen, you want to take a picture? Want to take a picture really quick with all of us? Oh, sure. So we can.
Be awesome, yeah.
Yes. Oh, your best smile.
You got to send it to us.
We'll send it.
Oh.
Definitely. Yeah.
Your finger's right on. It might be like.
Take a couple so we are not blinking eyes. You guys, be kind of cool if you guys were. Aw.
3, 2, 1.
Good thing the nameplate's
Awesome.
That's fun.
Thanks, Karen. I'll send it out.
Awesome.
And then we'll remove you from our email list.
You don't want me making public comment on that?
Good luck.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks, Karen.
Make sure they treat you good.
Thanks for your service and good luck.
Oh, seems like it.
Thank you, guys.
Now you're going from the pan to the fire.
Yeah, I think so.
Good luck.
My son lives in Springville, so I'll tell him who to call. Okay, let's talk about this Pledge of Allegiance, putting it back on the agenda. So I'm not sure actually how it got removed.
Yeah.
Let me
Was
give you
on
a
there.
context. We didn't have it officially in our rules, and so we just wanted to be clean about if we're going to do it, that we have some type of traceable action.
Yeah.
So that's only why we did it.
Yeah, we were doing it for months, and it kind of just came off the agenda. And I think probably about the same time we picked up all these new items to talk about in this meeting. So no one's fault, but should we put it back on the agenda?
I move we add the Pledge of Allegiance to our agenda.
Second.
Yeah.
Any further discussion?
No.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? None. That passes unanimous.
Before we move to the public comment, can I ask a question? Just we've seen a lot of solar approvals come through, and there's a part of me that's like, I don't have a problem with people doing what they want to do with on their property, but I am a little worried about turning hundreds of acres of land into just one big solar farm. Is that something that we can at some point maybe look at some ordinances to rein that in? It seems like they're just going like crazy. And I don't know, is that I don't know if this is even out of order, but I'm just wondering, can we get some kind of, if we need to make a change to our plan or
Zoning, maybe? So I appreciate that concern there. That concern is shared by others. What I can say is we are going through our general plan update, as I mentioned earlier. That should be coming moving forward and come before you in this next year. One of the requests from staff were to develop a policy that's related to energy production and solar and other types. And so I think that might be the first step, is to maybe include that as part of a general plan policy, and then follow up that with some ordinance changes or whatever to as a result of those policies. So
yeah. Okay. Feels like all these that have come through, there's nothing we can really do about them. And so, but it sounds like if we, yeah.
yeah, it could certainly be a recommendation from the Planning Commission, independent of that. But that's kind of the step we're going to take and kind of see where the administration is on that. So, but that general plan will be coming to you for a recommendation. And so, if there's something that's not included in there that you'd like to see included, that can certainly be addressed at that time too.
Okay.
Also, to follow up with that, with Bryce's comments, we do not know how many of these will develop. A lot of these do get approvals prior to, not all of them develop into solar projects. The ones that there is one that has, and the other one that with Quicksilver, I think that's most likely to happen. But there are a lot that may or may not, depending on what's required of them to connect to the grid, may not be able to develop because of the cost of the improvements that are going to be required of them to be able to make that connection. So although there are multiple, and there is a lot of solar out there approved right now, not all of them may be developed in the future.
Well, one last comment. There was a bill last year at the state level that would have preempted some of our local ordinances and had some requirements that didn't go through, but I wouldn't be surprised to see something coming forward. It's not just the Utah County issue. So.
Do we have a zone for nuclear power plants?
We do not.
Like Brigham City was in the news this morning. Yeah. Yeah.
Before we get to public comment too, I had one other business. I didn't put it on here, but this is really quick. Next, we have a short meeting next month, and we're thinking of maybe providing a nicer meal for you after, if that's okay. So we'll send out some invites and see how many we're going to have, since we didn't have our barbecue. So just kind of keep that on your agenda.
I say you get someone to dye their beard and pretend to be Santa Claus.
Maybe we will.
He looks more like an elf to me.
Fully committed, isn't he?
He is.
Okay. We're to the point where we would open for public comment. Do we need to vote to open public comment?
Nope.
It's on the agenda. Okay, we're open for public comment, and we have a taker.
Thank you for waiting so long.
I love it. I go to a lot of meetings in my other role. My name is Sherry Anderson. I'm actually here on behalf of the mayor of Fairfield. She is also at Eagle Mountain tonight because of the annexation policy there. As these things come through, like Quicksilver and stuff like that, that does affect her, and she would like to be more involved. She wanted to put this on public comment. In March 2025 staff report on page 3 of 5, it states that the proposed area is adjacent to Fairfield town boundaries, but is not part of any annexation policy, especially noting that it was not included in either Eagle Mountain or Fairfield's annexation policy. This information is correct. Fairfield town formally adopted and passed its annexation plan in August 2024, several months prior to the NO Quicksilver submitting any application. Following that adoption, Dale Iyer emailed confirmation that the county had received Fairfield's annexation plan and an overlay had been filed in case competing annexation petitions or objections arose. He also stated that the county would circulate those documents to all departments involved in the annexation. The NO application, which was submitted on February 8th, 2025, as required under 16.94B, approximately 6 months after Fairfield's annexation plan had already been adopted and properly filed with the county. Additionally, on page 9 of 19 in the March 18, 2025 meeting minutes, it reflects that the Mayor McKinney stated that the proposed area was within Fairfield's adopted annexation plan. However, her objections were not acknowledged, and the staff asserted at the meeting that they were unaware of the NEX and annexation policy for Fairfield. For accuracy of public record, I wanted to state clearly, Fairfield Town did have an adopted annexation policy and plan before NU submitted its application, and the county has been formally notified of this in 2024. They would just would like to be a little bit more involved.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to address public comment? Come forward.
You stood up.
If there are no further public comment and there's nothing else to discuss as a commission,